Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into one of the absolute most fascinating intersections in modern science. We are talking about the exact point where the tiny, incredibly intricate world of biology smashes right into the mind-bending realities of quantum physics and computer science. We're going to look at a totally groundbreaking way to predict how biological molecules physically take shape. And guys, this is a problem so complex it literally breaks our most powerful traditional computers. Seriously, think about that for a second. How do you solve a puzzle that has more combinations than there are stars in the observable universe? In biology, this isn't just some fun theoretical brain teaser. It's a daily, very real hurdle when dealing with molecules like RNA. Trying to predict how a single strand of RNA will fold in on itself means navigating this staggering, seemingly impossible cosmic puzzle of energy states. But today, we're going to explore how researchers are finally turning to quantum computing to crack it wide open. So here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, biology's great origami puzzle. 2, the computational bottleneck. 3, enter quantum computing. 4, building a better model. 5, the quantum bake-off. And finally, number 6, the future of folding. Let's get right into it. All right, part 1, biology's great origami puzzle, the foundations of molecular shape. To truly grasp the quantum solution, we first need to wrap our heads around the biological problem itself.
Okay, so what actually is RNA folding? Well, by definition, it's the process where an RNA molecule self-interacts using hydrogen bond base pairing between its nucleotides to form specific, highly stable three-dimensional structures. You can kind of think of it like a dynamic piece of biological origami. The absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that a single tiny change in how this sequence folds completely alters its final 3D shape. And in biology, shape literally dictates function. The molecule is always naturally looking for its most stable shape, which is the one with the lowest possible energy. Now, you might be wondering, why does this even matter? Because RNA is an absolute powerhouse for life, as we know it. I mean, it regulates and decodes our genes, it helps build crucial proteins, and drives biological catalysis. It even acts as the primary genetic material for a ton of viruses out there. That means if we want to understand viral genomes or design better medicines, figuring out these folds is absolutely essential. Oh, and it's also thought to be the evolutionary precursor to DNA itself. Crazy, right? Moving on to part 2, the computational bottleneck. Why do our incredibly fast classical computers just hit a brick wall here? Take a look at these tricky little structural quirks, things like bulges, internal loops, and multi-loops. They act like these wild, unpredictable folds in our biological origami that naturally destabilize the RNA's shape. Because calculating the overall lowest energy state means accounting for all of these complex, continuous interactions, regular computers really struggle to evaluate them without taking huge computational shortcuts. But enter the ultimate villain of our story, the dreaded pseudoknot. Look at how this highly complex motif literally forces the stems of the RNA to intertwine with loops in these completely non-nested ways. Pseudoknots push traditional algorithmic approaches totally into a corner. To just survive the math, classical computers often have to rely on really rough estimates. Or, believe it or not, they just ignore pseudoknots entirely, which is wild because that excludes an entire class of massively important biological structures. In computer science, there's a very specific, kind of intimidating term for this bottleneck. The source material states it like this: predicting the minimum free energy structure of an RNA from primary sequence information is understood to be NP-hard when allowing for pseudoknots. Now, NP-hard basically means the complexity scales so aggressively that regular classical computers literally just get crushed trying to check every single folding combination one by one. Which brings us nicely to part 3, enter quantum computing, a multidimensional solution. Classical computers had a wall, so we're bringing in a hero that can evaluate these complex energy landscapes in a completely fundamentally different way. So, to actually talk to a quantum computer, we need to translate our biology problem into a special mathematical language called QBO. That stands for Quadratic Unconstrained Binary Optimization. Without getting bogged down in the super heavy math, you can just think of QBO as a cost function. It maps out the RNA folding problem so that the lowest energy mathematical solution perfectly matches the most stable, lowest energy biological shape of the real RNA. Here is the real game changer. A classical computer is kind of like a super frustrated detective trying every single key on a massive keyring one by one just to see which one finally unlocks the door. But a quantum computer, using that QBO language, it maps the entire energy landscape simultaneously.
It naturally just settles right into the lowest energy state, finding the right key by looking at the whole picture all at once. Part 4. Building a better model. The algorithmic showdown. How do we actually write this QBO language for RNA? Well, the researchers looked at 3 competing models to see which one translated the biology into quantum math the best. Let's look at this algorithmic showdown. Model 1 is pretty rough. It's a heuristic that just tries to maximize the longest stems and penalizes those tricky pseudoknots based roughly on the product of their lengths. Model 2 breaks the RNA down a bit differently into stacked quartets using real experimental melting data, but it kind of struggles to reward larger continuous stems. And then we have Model 3, the new kid on the block, created by our researchers. They built this bad boy using real physical rules. It focuses on stems, utilizes actual polymer physics to really accurately penalize pseudoknots based on loop lengths, and even includes penalties for small hairpin loops. Now for Part 5, the quantum bake-off. With the contestants ready, it's time to put these models to the test against actual known RNA structures. To do this, they used an incredibly cool methodology called variational hybrid quantum annealing. See, pure quantum systems still have a bit of noise, so they literally teamed up classical and quantum computers to work together. Step 1. A regular classical computer identifies the potential stems. Step 2. It calculates all the overlap and pseudoknot penalties. Step 3, the real heavy lifting is passed to the massive 5,000-qubit D-Wave Advantage quantum solver. And Step 4, the results are sent back to a classical optimizer algorithm to refine everything, and the loop just repeats. Check out this pipeline diagram. You can clearly see the known RNA sequences coming in on the top left. They drop right down into that red quantum box, where models 1, 2, and 3 run on the D-Wave solver. Then, the predicted structures move over to the blue classical box. That's where they get compared against reality. The classical optimizer tweaks the parameters and sends the refined data right back into the quantum hardware. It is a completely beautiful technological dance. All right, the moment of truth. What were the results of the bake-off? This box plot shows the MCC scores. That stands for Matthews Correlation Coefficient. Basically, it measures how perfectly the models predicted the actual base pairs. A score of +1 is absolute perfection. The blue boxes represent RNA without pseudoknots, and the orange ones represent RNA with those dreaded pseudoknots we talked about earlier. Let's see who took the crown. But here is the absolute twist of the experiment. If you look closely at the overall performance across all 40 test structures, Model 3 didn't actually beat Models 1 and 2 outright in statistical significance. However, Models 1 and 2 performed wildly differently depending on whether a pseudoknot was there or not. Model 3, on the other hand, thanks to its physically motivated rules and polymer physics basis, it performed remarkably consistently across structures, both with and without pseudoknots. It basically gave us the most balanced, true-to-life reflection of reality. Finally, Part 6, the future of folding. Where do we even go from here? What does this incredible hybrid experiment mean for the future of computational biology? So, the researchers did note that they kept things relatively small for now, testing sequences under 50 bases, mostly just due to current computational resource limits. But the next frontier? Scaling this up big time to much larger RNA sequences. That's where the quantum advantage is really going to shine. They're also looking to use different classical optimizers so they don't get trapped in what's called local minima. They want to develop better ways to handle complex multiloops and eventually execute these QUBA models on universal gate-based quantum computers. Which leaves us with a really provocative question to think about. We've seen today how quantum annealing can partner up with classical physics to tackle the NP-hard, absolutely astronomical puzzle of RNA folding. So, if quantum computers can start unraveling the structural mysteries of RNA today, what uncrackable codes of biology are they going to conquer tomorrow? The fusion of these two incredible fields is just getting started,